come to PM Anonymous. Now, Phil, today we have a question that a lot of project managers go through, and that is, how do I interview candidates? I mean, as a project manager, you have to get the right skill set and the right attitudes into your project. And because projects are temporary endeavors, sometimes you have to do this very quickly and do it right the first time.
Absolutely.
And that's difficult. So I recommend, at the top of the list here, is be sure about what that job role is that you need on your project team. Know everything about it, the qualifications, which could be technical skills or certain attitudes, certain experiences, but also those trade-offs. You might not necessarily find the perfect candidate, so are you willing to take someone who has less experience but has a better attitude and more room for growth, or is pay scale something that will play a part in that? Of course, it's necessary to know the location. Is this an on-site job? Is this a virtual job? What is the pay? Is it salary? Is it hourly? Of course, all of these matter, because when you're giving that interview, you need to be able to be authoritative on what it is that you're looking for in that job. But also, you need to get the job posted correctly so you can have the right candidates that come in. Now, this says formulate skills or questions that can ascertain skill levels. I look at this as a technical interview. So this varies, doesn't it?
It does.
Type of project per project, what those skills are that's necessary.
It does. And this is where, we should corner some PMs who say, well, I'm not a technical person, so I don't really need to know about... Of course you do. You're trying to staff the position, and you're defending not knowing anything technical. Learn something technical. Put on that can-do hat and learn something technical. And then you can, ask the right questions. Because how can you not know about the position and you want to ask the right questions? Except you've got help, Right. I say get other people on the team who know, the right amount of information about the position, and have them around the table or have separate interviews with them, right?
Absolutely. So that's part of planning also, is who can do, along with you, this technical interview. And then this is more of a behavioral interview type of question creation. And for some people, they really have behavioral questions that they like to ask and certain answers that they're after. Other people just want to have a conversation and really get to know someone as if it's not an interview, but really, truly what their personality is like.
Absolutely, yeah. Or the what would you do if questions. Yeah. Or sometimes, and I'm not saying interviews should be that way, but sometimes people would lead a candidate to the brink of jumping off the cliff in a negative way, trying to get them to respond in a not so befitting manner to a question by egging them on and maybe sharing some of their past experience to kind of make them think that they think like that, whereas they don't really. They're just trying to deflect, the path a little bit to see if you will follow a path that is not the best. And if you follow, then you've kind of lost. So I think as one is crafting these questions, you can be a bit crafty to find out, what the person really thinks by making them think you think something and see if they follow along. Or if they stand their ground and say, no, I'm different. So these behavioral questions could be a huge time in an interview for people.
Now, I put be aware of your own biases. We're human. We can't help that. There are some that exist that hopefully you can overcome if you know that you have these, because you probably do. Confirmation bias. This is the tendency for you to pick up something in a resume, and then as soon as that person displays it, you say, aha, I knew it. I knew you were shallow, or I knew you were going to ask for too much money, or, oh, I knew you were a superstar. Also something called an affective heuristic. And this is where we just see someone and we go, oh, that person's pretty. I want to hire them. Or, all those bad assumptions that we never should make. We need to make sure that we're not doing that by asking the appropriate questions and then in waiting and thinking about them. Another bias is anchoring, and this is where you come in to the interview expecting that candidate to be a superstar, so then they are a superstar because you've already anchored them there, or vice versa. And then intuition, of course, we make assumptions. We all do as humans. So overcome your intuition by not making assumptions and actually asking questions. Can you give me an example of when you have done this? Or what would you do in this scenario? Are ways to overcome your intuition. And checking references is also a good way for that.
That's really big, because I've heard from a lot of pros out there, one of them being Jack Welch himself from GE back in the day, who talks about the power of the gut, and he talks about going with your gut and so on. And someone else said, you know, when you are interviewing, ask for the data. Don't just go with your gut instinct, but ask someone to give you proof. So I think it's a balancing act. You know, once upon a time, one of our customers had a discussion with me before they went with us. And the questions were, what have you done in the past? What are you doing now? And I gave him an idea of what I was doing now. And he heard what I was doing at the time. And the moment he heard that answer, he said, later on, he confirmed, he went with his gut at that point, because what I said I was doing just showed a massive amount of credibility. It was a government project. And it just showed a massive amount of credibility, being that they were government affiliated as well. Hearing something like that, he didn't even need to ask any other questions. And I was shocked at how rapid he said, all right, let's talk with the HR person tomorrow. I couldn't believe it. But it was because that gut instinct and, you know, the data that was gathered gave confirmation, hey, go with this guy or go with that person. So, you know, gut, biases, all this stuff is very important to think about.
It is absolutely important to think about, because you want to get the right candidate. And if you don't find the right candidate, you might need to go back up to the drawing board and determine what are you actually looking for and what can you do better to draw the right people in there. It's a challenge. I know right now it's a challenge out there. A lot of people are looking for jobs, and a lot of organizations are looking to hire, and it seems like people just aren't matching as well as they could be.
It's a big topic. It's a big subject. You know, if you spend time, it's like a project. If you spend time on the front end, planning all that you've shared here, Emily, going through the questions, asking about the position, going into an interview with an intentional strategy. Not just saying, oh, I've got an interview. Oh, I've got an interview at 12. I don't even know what I'm going to ask this person. All right, let me just get a list of standard questions and bounce in there. You will fail as the interviewer. You will. But if you go in and engineer it with all of this great stuff, I think the payoff for anyone will be absolutely huge.
Yeah, and hiring the right person can really make a difference on your project now and in your future projects as well.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Well, hire us to answer your questions. Send in any questions you've got about anything, be it hiring, firing, rules, regulations, policies. Go to Praizion.com and send an email to info@Praizion.com.